What's doing, everybody? Welcome to the channel. I hope everybody's all right out there. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Everybody else, welcome back. As always, we got a dog story for you today. A lot of people love dogs. I'm the dog man. I love them like crazy. Before I get into this very exciting story about my Rottweiler named Beauty, let me tell you a little bit about the dog world that I was involved in. I'm not going to tell you the whole story right now because it's extensive, but I'll tell you my history with dogs so you can have an idea um, of my involvement in them. When I was 13 years old, I met a man that trained dogs for the United States military. He was an older gentleman. He actually trained dogs for Vietnam. I met him when I was about 13. I became addicted to dog training. This was on a highly professional level. I would go on to train hundreds of dogs in my life, not dozens, hundreds of dogs in my life. I worked with mostly Belgian Shepherds, Dutch Shepherds, German Shepherds, Bouviers, Mastiffs, Rottweilers, mostly dogs that can deal in protection work, dogs that can deal with a method of training called Schutzhund. And I started as the agitator, wearing the bite suits. Maybe I'll show you a couple of video clips of me working dogs later on in life in this video. And then I would go on to train dogs for felony apprehension, basic obedience, all types of things. And I trained dogs from the age of 13 until the age of 24 years old when I became incarcerated. I was always involved in dogs. I did brief stints working in animal health hospitals, on dog kennels. I've trained dogs to turn on light switches, open for handicapped people, opened up doors, take off people's clothes because they had no arms when they came home from the war. I've done EDC dogs, explosive detection dogs. So I've been in the dog world a long time. When I went into prison, I ended up in the dog program for a while. It was called PBB, Puppies Behind Bars, where I trained dogs for wounded war veterans and explosive detection. And then when I came home after my incarceration, I trained dogs for a few years for a living to survive financially. So dogs have always been a huge part of my life. I have 6 little dogs right now because I had a French Mastiff, what's called a Dog de Bordeaux. If any of you have seen the movie Turner and the Hooch, I had one of those. But dogs are like people; they all have their own personality. And this dog attacked my wife. You could always have a dog that is not stable. But most of them are. Dogs are like people. I've stood on stage and taught the psychology of dogs before to classrooms. So they've been a big part of my life, a big part of my life. But this is going to be a story about a particular dog. And her name was. Let me show you a few clips first, just a few pictures. This is me when I was very young with a Spitz. Her name was Tagger, and she was a household dog, one of my dogs when I was very young. I love that dog, Tagger. And then, as you see here, that's me and my first pit bull, Rocky. Very very beautiful dog. Um, I loved training with him and loved working with him. That's when I was very young. That's even when I was 9 and 10 years old. I've just always been around them. Here's me with a Belgian Shepherd, a puppy Belgian Shepherd that I ended up training. Um, and just a lot, they've been a big part of my life. But let me get right into the story of Beauty. You know, this is Beauty. Beauty was a female Rottweiler, and I got Beauty when I was 18 years old. And I put a lot of training into her. Really, really good female Rot, and really well trained in protection work. Very serious dog. I have a lot of stories with Beauty. As a matter of fact, I bred her a few times. Here's Beauty and her puppies right here. Here's a picture of her feeding her puppies. You know, and here's a picture of me holding one of her puppies. She's just licking her lips. She's not being aggressive. She was just licking her lips. That was one of the times she had a puppy, you know. And Beauty was a great dog. I think I have a picture of my mother and Beauty. If I do, I'll put it up there. But if not, I'll get right into the story of what I like to call Beauty and the Beast, because this was a good one. So let me get into the story of Beauty. Right when Beauty was about 4 months old, 5 months old, I had her in the front seat of my car, and the garbage truck was coming down the block. And you know how dogs like to stick their head out the window. They stick their head out the window. But she's a puppy. She's young, you know. And the block was a thin block. It wasn't wide. So I kind of had to move over a little bit so the garbage truck could pass, you know. And as the garbage truck was passing, there was maybe only about a foot or two between my car and the garbage truck. So we had to squeeze past each other. And as we're passing each other, the guy on the back of the garbage truck, he's holding on to the back of the garbage truck, reaches down, smacks my dog right in the face. I said, this guy got to be out of his mind. This guy got to be crazy, right? So now the garbage truck keeps going. I pull a U-turn and go after the garbage truck. And when I get behind the garbage truck, he sees me coming. And I don't know what this guy's problem was. You know what I mean? He just thought he was a tough guy. He was just a complete jerk off, right? So he jumps off the back of the garbage truck, and he got his boy with him too, right? And they both get off the back of the garbage truck, and then he pulls a steel pipe off the back of the garbage truck. And when he sees me coming, I'm like, "Oh, you want to hit my dog?" He's like, "Yeah, what are you going to do?" He starts beefing with me. He starts calling me all types of racial slurs. "What you going to do, you cracker? You ain't doing nothing. Da da da, mother effer, this, that, right?" And then the driver of the garbage truck gets out. So I'm like, I'm in a no-win situation right now, right? Because I have three guys who are all bigger than me. One of them has a steel pipe, and it's just me and my 4-month-old Rottweiler, you know. So I realized I could get hurt bad in this situation, you know, because they're not going to let me get a one-on-one with the garbage man. So I tell him I got it, and I tell him I'm going to see you one day. I'm going to get you. I'm going to see you one day, brother. Watch. And I get in my car and I take off. Fast forward, over a year later, I'm at my friend Freddie's house, and I have Beauty with me, and I fall asleep at Freddie's house. Freddie's house was like the hangout house. So I end up passing out on the couch, and I wake up about 7:38 in the morning, and I said, let me take Beauty outside into the front yard so she can pee. And I wake up, take her out into the front yard, and as she's walking around the house doing her business, I look and I see this garbage man. And he's bent over because like the garbage pail fell over and some garbage fell out. And he's like putting garbage back in the garbage pail. And I'm looking and it looks like the guy, right? And I can't really tell. So I got to walk up and then I say, oh, wow, that's him. That's him. And I come running up behind him as he's bent over and I just punch him in the side of his face. Crack! And I got to tell you, I hit him with a good shot. This guy took it pretty well. He was a big brother, right? He took it pretty well. And we start fighting. We start going at it right away, but we're on the ground because when I hit him, he kind of fell over and we're on the ground now wrestling. And I end up underneath him. And he's like sitting on top of me, he's like straddling me, and I'm covering up in a defensive position, trying to keep him close. You know what I mean? So I don't take any shots. And I'm having a hard time with the big guy. He's a big, strong guy. And I'm not having the opportunity because he's already got me straddled on the ground. And I remember saying to myself, where's this damn dog? Because at this time, Beauty was now about 16, 17 months old. She was fully trained in protection work, you know, fully trained in basic obedience. She was a real nasty dog, you know? And I'm saying to myself as we're wrestling on the ground, where's this dog? And all of a sudden I hear the craziest scream. Ah! Beauty came out from behind the house, saw this guy on top of me, and grabbed him by the throat. The only thing that saved this guy was he had a hooded sweatshirt on. It was a little chilly out, and she got his neck and part of the hoodie in her bite. But she got him by the throat, and I heard the gurgling right away. He couldn't breathe. Ah! And he falls down on the floor, and I said, I got to call her off right away because she could kill him. And I tell her, house! And she lets go. And now he's on the ground, and I start going. I get on top of him. I got him straddled, and she goes for another bite, and she got his arm, and I'm punching him in the face, right? And I stand up and I start kicking him in the face, and he's getting a bad beating, a real bad beating. And I know this sounds a little crazy, but I jump on top of him and I bite the guy's face. I bite the guy's face. I grab him by his head and bite his face. And then I stand up. I tell him, that's the same effing dog you hit. That's the same effing dog you hit. And I hurt him bad. At this point, his friends did not come to help him because that whole incident takes 30, 40 seconds, before they even realize what's going on. And I throw Beauty in my car and I take off. I would be arrested for this. I would get arrested and charged with assault. I would get charged with assault with a weapon. And I ended up in the Nassau County Jail for that. And they considered him a city official because he was a city garbage man. But so I ended up in the county jail. I think it was for like 6 months, 5 years probation. I can't remember. We're going back 30 years ago. But Beauty got her revenge on that garbage man. Beauty got her revenge on that garbage man. And you're not hitting one of my dogs. I'm not letting you get away with that. But that was a good one where Beauty got her payback. You know. I had taught, you hear a lot of it, so that was the story of Beauty getting her revenge. You know, I was I taught Beauty how to never let people leave the house. You hear people say that all the time, that my dog lets people in but doesn't let people leave. But I specifically taught Beauty how to never allow people to leave the house. And it is kind of dangerous to do this with a dog, but I was young, I was a crazy kid, and I'll explain to you the simple way of how I did it. I taught Beauty a lot of things. Beauty was taught not to take food from anyone except me. She was taught full protection work. She was taught not to let anybody leave my residence. I would bring her to Manhattan, walk her off leash, never have to look down. She stayed right next to me. She was a very, very obedient dog. But in regards to having her, teaching her to never let people leave the house. This is what I did. I might as well explain a quick little scenario to you. I had say three, four, five of my friends, even if it's two friends, three friends, whatever it is, hanging out in the living room of my house, and the dog is hanging out as well. Can I take a sip of coffee? Oh, it's good coffee, right? And so what I would do is, my friend's getting ready to leave. And I say, okay, I call Beauty over. She only understood German. All her commands were in German. So I would say Fuß, which means come to my feet. Say, Beauty, Fuß. She comes to the feet. I hold her by the collar. And I tell my friend, listen, I'll see you later. I'll see you tomorrow or whatever. And come pet my dog as you're leaving. But then right as you're petting her, I want you to smack her in the snout. Not to hurt her. I don't abuse dogs. But I want you to give her a little smack right in her nose. Now remember, Beauty is fully protection trained. So she's a serious dog. And as soon as he would, and I said, make sure you're stepping away as you do that. And he gave it a little smack and she would go, rah, 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 rah. And I tell her, good girl, good girl. And then I tell him, leave, leave. And he would leave, you know. And then I would have the next guy do that and the next guy do that. And to make a long story short, Beauty learned that anyone that was about to leave the house was going to hit her. Anybody that was about to leave the house was going to agitate her. And so it got to the point that when people stood up in my house, in Beauty's mind, she thought they were going to leave. And she wouldn't even let them move around the house because she was combating. She was jumping in first, saying, you know what, before you come, I see that you're about to leave. And before you do anything to me, I'm not going to let you do it. So my friends would be like, yo, Joey, can I get a beer out of the fridge? I say, yeah, go ahead. They would get up off the couch and Beauty would jump up. Rah, 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 rah. They'd be, whoa, whoa, whoa. She ended up biting a few people on accident. You play with fire, you get burned. And if you play with dogs, you get bit. Most of my friends have been bit one time or another because I always had protection dogs around. is I have another video up called Shell Creek Park. I posted it about 6 months ago. If you guys want to go check out the Shell Creek Park video, that's the time I used another Rottweiler in an incident, a Rottweiler named Kwai that I had. But I'll show you a little clip. Let me end with a little video of me working with the protection dog, doing some agitation work. I'll see if I can find 1 or 2 videos I have on there. And, that's it. I figured I'd give you a little dog story about Beauty and the Beast. You guys have a good one. My dog got a revenge on the garbage man. Yeah, boy.
Ready? Get him, cut him. Oh, okay, you didn't hold it. Look at the way he's fighting. Look at this, George. Come here. Come here. Look at the grip on this dog. Hold on. But now let it give him a little. Oh, bravo. Now pull tight. He does that. Pull tight. There you go. Enjoy yourself, Joe. You're having fun. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy.
Ah, good heel, good heel. Front, front. Good boy. Let's go. Let's go. Front. Heel. Good boy, good boy. What?